Hello and welcome back to the Web Demystified. In this video we will talk about Flask, pip and Jinja 2 template engine. We will also start creating our online store. Flask is a micro web framework written in Python. It is classified as a micro framework because it does not require particular tools or libraries, and developers can choose the libraries and tools they want to use. Flask is a beginner-friendly and easy to learn, but it is also very powerful and can be used to build complex web applications. Flask was chosen for our online store for several reasons. First, Flask is easy to install and use, and it is also easy to learn. Second, Flask is flexible and does not force you to use particular tools or libraries. Third, Flask is extensible, and you can add new features to Flask using easy-to-install extensions. And last but not least, active community. Flask has a large and active community, making it one of the most popular Python web frameworks. Because of this, there are many tutorials online, and you can easily find answers if you have any questions. Flask is a great choice for small and medium-sized projects, and it's perfect for prototyping. However, it may not be the best fit for asynchronous applications. Additionally, building large and scalable applications with Flask requires a lot of developers' experience. Nevertheless, Flask is easy to learn and use, making it a great choice for our online store. Before we start with Flask, we need to create a virtual environment and install Flask. So, first, let's create a virtual environment. Press Ctrl Shift and P, then type Python create environment. Now let's select the venv and let's select the interpreter. So, virtual environment has been created, but why do we need the virtual environment? We need a virtual environment to isolate our project and its installed packages from other projects. Without a virtual environment, you can run into issues if you have multiple projects that use different versions of the same package. Additionally, with a virtual environment, you can easily create a list of dependencies in a file and easily share your project with others. Now let's talk about pip. Pip is a package manager for Python. It is used to install and manage Python packages. With pip, you can install packages from PyPI, Python Package Index. To install a package, we need to open a new terminal and run pip install and package name, in our case Flask. So Flask has been installed. Similarly, we can uninstall any package, Flask or any other package. Also, we can list all the installed packages by typing pip list or pip freeze. To get started with Flask, you can create a simple Hello World web application. This application will display a simple Hello World message on the screen in the web browser. So, let's create a new Python file, app.py, and inside it, let's import from Flask, import Flask, and then let's create a new instance of Flask application. App routes, and a handler for this application. Hello World, that returns the Hello World message. Hello World. And let's check if the current module is a main module. If it is, we'll run the app with debug mode enabled. This code creates a new Flask application and defines a single route that returns the Hello World message. To run this code, you need to start the Flask application. Flask will then start a web server and listen for incoming requests. This code in the app.py, this code, is correct, but it doesn't follow best practices, because it mixes HTML and Python code. In large applications, it can be hard to maintain such code, because it's difficult to find and understand the Python code when there are large portions of HTML code mixed in. Additionally, if we want to apply CSS to make our website visually appealing, it becomes even harder to maintain such code. To fix this, we need to use templates. Templates are files that contain static data as well as placeholders for dynamic data. The placeholders are replaced with actual values at runtime. We will use Jinja 2. Jinja 2 is a popular template engine for Python. It is a modern and designer-friendly templating language. Jinja 2 supports many features such as template inheritance, filters, and macros, making it a great choice for building web applications with Python. To create our first template, first let's create a new folder called templates. Inside this folder, we need to create a new file, index.html. And we can use the shortcut here, just type exclamation mark and hit tab or enter. Now we can format a bit and change the title, online store. Inside the body, I'll add the p tag with hello world message. And after creating the index.html file, let's edit the hello world function inside the app.py. First, we need to delete this line and return render template function. We can add it to the import and let's pass our freshly created template to the render template function. This code renders the index.html template and returns it to the web browser. Now let's refresh the page. Now let's add a variable to our index.html. We'll add a variable name for the web page. Here, we'll replace world with name into curly brackets. It is possible thanks to Jinja 2. Jinja 2 comes with Flask pre-installed by default. Now let's modify the hello world function to display any received name. First, we need to extract get parameters sent by browser to our server. There should be a variable called name in the query string. So, request args get name. And now let's pass the extracted data to the template. To display the name of the user, you need to use the query string. Simply just type /? And the name of the variable, in our case name, equals Joe, for example. Oh, we need to run the code again. Or Andrew. Or any other name. But if there is no name in the query string, you can see that the message is hello none. So, to avoid this, we can add the default value to the name variable. We can do this by adding a second argument to the request args get function. Here we'll add a new argument, world. And now let's save this and refresh the page. And the second argument is the default value. If the name is not found in the query string, the default value will be used. And now it's time to learn what a URL is and how it is formed. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. A URL is a string that contains information about how to fetch a resource from a server. Every page you see in the browser is located at a unique URL. For example, the URL of the Google homepage is https://google.com. In our example, we have the http://localhost port 5000 with query string name equals Joe. The structure of a URL contains the scheme. The scheme is a protocol that used to access the resource from the server. The scheme is usually HTTP or HTTPS. The host is the domain name or IP address of the server. In the example, the host is localhost. Localhost is a special domain name that refers to the local computer. When you type localhost in the browser sends a request to the local computer. The port is a number that identifies a specific process on the server. The port is optional, and it is usually omitted. In the example, the port is 5000. The port is like a USB on a computer. When you plug a device into a USB, you can communicate with the device. Similarly, when you send a request to a port on a server, you can communicate with the process that is listening on that port. The path is the location of the resource on the server. In the example, the path is just /. The query string is a string of key-value pairs that appended to the end of the URL. The query string is separated from the path using a question mark. The key-value pairs are separated using an ampersand. In the example, the query string is name equals Joe. Flask provides a request object that contains data from the query string. So, let's consider another example. In this example, the scheme is HTTPS. The host is www.amazon.com. The path is Apple 2023 MacBook laptop, etc. And the query string is keywords equals MacBook ampersand QID equals number, which represents two values, keywords and query ID. Thank you for watching. In the next video, we'll learn more about Jinja 2, how to pass data to templates, and how to use template inheritance. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.